Hello, I'm Alex, a sports psychology consultant. I work for Optimise Potential, the consultancy who have partnered with the Blues Performance Scheme. This is the second in a series of introductory videos designed to cover the core concepts that underpin sports psychology and the fundamental mental skills that you can tailor to use in your own sport. This video is on self-awareness, which is just another of the tools that make up your mindset toolbox. Sports psychologists have a number of tools that can help you with your training and performances depending on your situation. But sports psychologists can't read minds. So to get the best results from our work together, it's important that we build your own awareness so that you can communicate to us about you and your circumstances. Building this self-awareness may take the form of troubleshooting, identifying problems or weaknesses in your mindset or mental state. But sports psychology doesn't only work on the negatives. It's also important to be aware of what works well for you. So it's likely to be helpful to reflect on all your experiences, times that were good, bad, great, or indifferent. By comparing across the full range of experiences, you're likely to get a better idea of what factors contribute to a good performance, and also how to turn good performances into great ones. One tip when reflecting on positive and negative instances is to imagine yourself as an outside spectator, or even as a narrator. What differences would an external observer notice in your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors? How would the narrator describe your mood and your actions? You can then use a series of questions to try to understand what contributed to these differences. For example, you might want to ask yourself how you'd been feeling in the lead up to that situation. What had helped you prepare for that moment? What had been your motivation ahead of it? Another helpful task for improving self-awareness can be to ask yourself about your personal values. In other words, what characteristics are important to you? How do you see yourself? And how do you hope that others see you? Another way of reflecting on your values is to imagine yourself at your own 80th birthday party. Looking back on your life, what would you have wanted to have done more of? Done less of? What would you like to be remembered for? Then you can see how your sporting life fits within those values. This can be useful to remind yourself why you're involved in your sport and what you hope to get out of it. That clarity can help define your sporting goals and increase your commitment to your sport. Another key aim of self-awareness is to find the right balance between nervousness and excitement in important moments. These are referred to as your arousal levels, and these tend to be particularly relevant when thinking about a competition or other pressure situations. This is because feeling nervous isn't necessarily a bad thing, so long as it doesn't get too extreme. When we perceive something stressful or threatening, which might include the pressure of a competition, our brains respond by preparing our body for a physical reaction to that threat. This reaction is often referred to as the fight or flight response, and is a legacy of our prehistoric ancestors who had to be constantly aware of their surroundings in case a saber-toothed tiger or a rival caveman was about to attack them, forcing them to either fight back or run away. Of course, these days the threat of a tiger attack is pretty small, but our brains haven't entirely adjusted. So when we sense something dangerous or harmful, our bodies still go into this physical state. Our heart rate increases, our breathing becomes shallower and more rapid, our palms get sweaty, we get butterflies in our stomach, and so on. In a sporting situation, these reactions can be helpful because they're designed to get your body ready for physical action. But too much arousal can cause the body to become overwhelmed, which can make your performance worse. Your optimal level of arousal is unique to you, so being able to gauge that level is likely to be extremely helpful. It can also be helpful to realize that it can often be hard to tell the difference between excitement and nerves, because the physical signs of arousal, like increased heart rate and shallower breathing, are the same for both. Even butterflies in the stomach can happen whether you're excited or whether you're nervous. So when you reflect on any experiences, you may want to ask yourself whether it's possible that you could, in future, try to reinterpret any physical signs of arousal in a more positive way. Another aspect of self-awareness that can be really helpful is paying attention to your own self-talk. Self-talk is how we speak to ourselves, whether it's out loud or just in our heads. It's perfectly natural, it's something everyone does, and it happens almost all of the time we're awake. There is a video in this series dedicated to self-talk and how you can change it to be more constructive, but a good starting point is to monitor what your own self-talk is like when things are going well, and when things aren't. Especially in trickier times, a good question to ask yourself is that something I would say to a friend? There will be many aspects of your mindset and psychological and emotional state that you can pay attention to, and how important they are to your performance will be unique to you. They'll also likely change depending on the sport you play, as every sport has its own distinct psychological characteristics and challenges. Take some time to reflect on all these ideas and begin to formulate what you need for yourself and those around you. It can sometimes be hard to remember what you felt and thought during previous experiences. Keeping a thought journal to log your experiences in real time is an effective way to increase self-awareness. As with all these videos, this is just the tip of the iceberg on the subject of self-awareness. So please get in touch if you and your team want to learn more about this concept. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the other videos in this series. We hope you find them helpful.